Welcome to the Hair Loss Show. Dr. Russell Knudsen and Dr. Vikram Jayaprakash discuss issues relating to hair loss and the medical and surgical treatment of hair loss in both men and women.
Hey everyone, Dr. Vikram Jayaprakash here. Hope you're all keeping well and safe during this time. So one of the questions I get asked a lot, not only on this channel but also on when I'm consulting with people is, what shampoo should I use? People are always concerned about products that they put in their hair and how that affects hair growth, how it resolves hair loss. And it's an interesting conversation. I always talk about this story, and I always think about a lecture that I attended back in 2014, actually, and it was at the ISHRS World Congress. It was run in Kuala Lumpur, and we had the pleasure of being lectured to by a scientist, and he at the time was working for Johnson & Johnson. And he was spearheading their R&D department at Johnson & Johnson. Now, Johnson & Johnson, massive company. And if you were to ever go down the aisle at your local pharmacy or supermarket and have a look at all the shampoos that are available, you'll probably find that Johnson & Johnson is the parent company for most of those products. So he was there. He was lecturing on hair biology. Great guy, fascinating lecture. Huge, thick mop of hair tied in a big ponytail at the back. And it was a great lecture on a variety of different things. But at the end of that, there was a Q&A session. Someone stood up and said, what shampoo and conditioner would you recommend? And you could just sense everyone's ears picking up, because if this is the guy, he's got the entire range of Johnson & Johnson at his disposal. So, you'd want to know which one he put his money with. So the answer was fascinating. The answer, I guarantee, was not expected by anyone in the room. And I think you'd be surprised with the answer. And the answer is this. He said, in a very calm, straightforward voice, I use Head and Shoulders every day. And you could just sense the amazement in the crowd, because Head and Shoulders has been around for eons. When I was growing up, Head and Shoulders was there. I used Head and Shoulders. It was a horrible shampoo, if I may say. So it got in your eyes, it would burn. It was not expected. But it was fascinating, because he went on to explain. And so why is the reason? What's the reason? Why he's, they've put, Johnson & Johnson put billions of dollars into R&D for stuff that you can put in your hair. Why was this guy recommending just simple generic Head and Shoulders? And the answer is this, is that the reality is shampoo makes very little impact on hair loss or hair growth. And I think that's the takeaway message that you should sort of go away from this with. So let's unpack that a little bit, okay, and understand what's going on there. So there are medicated shampoos, and we'll discuss that. And there is Nizoral or ketoconazole shampoo. And what I'll do is I'll talk about ketoconazole shampoo in another video. So we'll just concentrate on shampoos and medicated shampoos. The thing that you have to understand is that if I look at this hair here, this hair is dead. This part of the hair is dead. The only live portion of that hair is the bit that is underneath the scalp. So the best analogy I can give you is that this hair is like a piece of rope and should be treated like a piece of rope. So if you're, for example, if you're a sailor, all right, so those of you that sail would know rope, you have to look after rope because if it's exposed to the harsh elements, so sunlight, if it's exposed to pollution, toxins in the air, if it's exposed to salt water, it becomes dry. It becomes brittle, it will snap, okay? So, you have to look after the hair from that perspective. A shampoo, all it is doing, it is just cleaning the surface of the scalp, cleaning any excess oils, any excess toxins, and just keeping the hair clean. It is not, and it does not, alter the hair cycle in any way, shape, or form. So, going back to the Head and Shoulders thing, you just want a product that will keep the surface of the scalp and the outside of the hair root, shaft clean. All right, so any product will suffice for that. So I don't think you necessarily need to overthink it from that perspective. Now, people talk about medicated shampoos, and there are, again, hair loss, billion-dollar industry, multiple players in the field. Everyone's got a product that is going to do this, that, and the other. So, you have to look at, well, what about these medicated shampoos? You'll get suggestions from maybe hair loss clinics will give you, oh, this is a great shampoo to use, or you may see your hairdresser, and the hairdresser will go, listen, I've had really good results with this, and generally I don't have a problem. The issue that is there is that a medicated shampoo is based on the principle that there is an active ingredient, whatever that may be. There is an active ingredient in the actual shampoo liquid. So, and different active ingredients work in different ways, and this is not the sort of arena to go through each one because there are so many different ingredients that can be used. But the underlying principle is that when you apply shampoo to your scalp, all right, what you're saying is that that active ingredient has to then absorb through the scalp, all right? Now, the reality is, and they've done studies on this, and what they've shown is that it takes 6 minutes for the active ingredient to absorb through the scalp, all right? It is not instantaneous. The scalp is designed in such a way that it's quite hardy, the skin is quite reasonably thick, and so it takes 6 minutes. So logistically speaking, if you're having a shower and you apply shampoo to your scalp, you have to let it sit there without washing it out for 6 minutes. Now, I guarantee you this, I don't know what your practice is like at home in the shower, but I don't know many men or women that will apply a shampoo product and let it sit on their scalp for 6 minutes. So I think most people that are using a medicated shampoo in some way, shape, or form are probably using it incorrectly and are not getting the optimal benefit from it. And if that's the case, then you've got to question, well, is there any particular reason to use that product? So generally, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big advocate, I should say, of medicated shampoos, probably because compliance is not fantastic. And ideally, you just want something that is going to keep the scalp clean. It's not harsh enough that it's going to dry up the hair, the rope, and not cause it to be dry and brittle. But just keep the scalp nice and clean. So whatever product that may be, I don't think you need to spend a large amount of money for it. I think anything that will keep the scalp clean is a good product and is sufficient. So, that was for me then. That was a big eye opener, and it's changed how I've recommended products like this going forward. I just generally say to people, look, choose whatever you want. And if I'm asked about medicated shampoos, I'm sort of more agnostic about whatever anyone wants to choose. I don't have a particular brand or a product that I would recommend. That said, I think if you're looking at products for the hair, I think conditioners are important. Okay, and so we talked about shampoos, and shampoos keep the scalp clean. What conditioners do is conditioners coat the surface of the hair root or the hair follicle. So going back to the analogy of the rope, it's like oiling the rope. It's like keeping that rope healthy. So, and you can buy whatever conditioner. Lots of conditioners. Some of them are made of silica, some are made of oils, essential oils, etc. I mean, I know from personal experience. My grandmother, I'm from the subcontinent, and so my grandmother was very particular about recommending coconut oil on your hair to help hair growth or to help keep your hair healthy. Now, I think at the end of the day, the coconut oil, whatever oil it is, and a lot of these newer products, coconut oil has come back into fashion, so to speak, are basically coating the hair. So any conditioner, and again, conditioners you have to leave on for a few minutes before you wash them off, but any conditioner, what it is essentially doing is coating the hair. And that, when you look at, if you look at someone who's thinning, or you're experiencing thinning, the reason why you're experiencing thinning is two factors. One, you're losing numbers of hairs. So if you look at a particular area on the scalp, the numbers of hairs in that area has reduced. Also, it is also a function of the thickness of each of those hairs. So some individuals who may have may not have a huge reduction in numbers of hairs, but the thickness of the hairs are becoming finer and wispier. And we've talked in previous videos about the causes, the hormonal changes that cause that. But if you've got thinning of the hairs, that also causes the area to feel thin and look thin. So by coating these hairs with an extra layer, increases the shaft diameter, and thus gives you that illusion or that feeling that hair is a lot thicker. And again, various different conditions will do different things or agree to different types of hair. And I think that's important to try different ones and see which ones are beneficial for you. But I hope this clears up what I think there's a lot of misconception about, this product is better than this. I think for shampoos generally, you keep it simple. Just keep the hair clean, or the surface of the scalp clean, and keep the hair clean. And the conditioner is what's used to coat the hair to try and give it a little bit more thickness and life to it. Like I said, there are medicated shampoos are useful if used correctly, but I would challenge most people, I don't think, use it in a proper format, meaning that they don't leave it on long enough, because when push comes to shove, if you're having a shower, 6 minutes is a long time to wait. So I hope you find that useful. Hope everyone's keeping safe, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.